Pro Group Management. Workers' comp that works for you.
Welcome to Nevada Newsmakers. On the broadcast today, top gaming reporter Howard Stutz joins us from the Nevada Independent for the whole show on the all-new Nevada Newsmakers.
7 at 7 is available anytime, anywhere.
I'm Riley Smith with your Vegas Golden Knights. Watch 7 minutes of nonstop news from the Las Vegas Review-Journal.
Streaming on LVRJ.com and Twitter, powered by the Las Vegas Review-Journal.
Modern boutique Ahern Hotel and Events Center in Las Vegas. Host meetings and events on 2 floors. Stay in luxurious rooms and suites. Unlimited branding opportunities. Regional Italian cuisine by Chef Mark Segrisi. Flexible event spaces. Full buyout options. Visit ahernhotel.com today.
I'm Jeff Gehrman, an investigative reporter with the Las Vegas Review-Journal. I'm your guide for Season 2 of Mobbed Up, The Fight for Las Vegas.
You're in with every gangster and hoodlum in the United States.
I don't go for that, Mr. Kennedy. I don't go for that kind of action.
I was on television accused of fronting for the mob.
Subscribe to Mobbed Up, The Fight for Las Vegas, Season 2, today on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Hey, Dad? Are you learning? This place is great.
Huh?
You gotta try this.
Wow, this stuff is great. People are gonna love it.
Yes. Yes, they will.
7 at 7 is available anytime, anywhere.
I'm Riley Smith with your Vegas Golden Knights. Watch 7 minutes of nonstop news from the Las Vegas Review-Journal.
Streaming on LVRJ.com and YouTube, powered by the Las Vegas Review-Journal.
This is Nevada Newsmakers with host Sam Shad, a no-holds-barred political forum. Now, from the Nevada Newsmakers broadcast headquarters, here is Sam Shad.
And back on Nevada Newsmakers, we're always delighted to welcome back to the program Howard Stutz. He is the gaming reporter for the Nevada Independent. Always a pleasure to have you on the program,
Thanks for having me. I'm glad you're down here in Vegas.
Thank you. And here we are on December 14th, and absolutely nothing going on in the gaming world.
No, we're done now. Let's go. Nice talking to you, Sam.
Should we start with MGM?
Sure.
And selling off Mirage. I was surprised that Phil Ruffin hadn't bought it until I saw the analyst report on how much was paid for it.
Right.
And Phil Ruffin doesn't buy high-priced deals.
Well, Phil Ruffin also said, when I talked to him last year, it would have been 2020 in February, because before the pandemic, when he bought Circus from MGM, I asked him about the Mirage at the time, and he, because he had wanted it when he bought Treasure Island.
Desperately.
But then they put it into a REIT, and he says, I don't pay rent. I'm not.
Right.
He doesn't want to be. He doesn't want to deal with landlord. He wants to own everything. Wasn't in a sense. It makes perfect sense that Hard Rock, the Seminole Indian tribe, is buying the Mirage. We've known they wanted to come here. They took back the name Hard Rock Las Vegas. They kept that and all the rights to it. And this made perfect sense because they want, the Mirage is 77 acres. It's a large
Huge.
parcel. The rendering they put out shows they want to do a guitar hotel. They have one in Fort Lauderdale at the Hard Rock Hollywood. It's shaped like a guitar. It looks perfect theme for the Hard Rock. And the Mirage makes the most sense. Now this morning, we're talking on December 14th, I talked to Jim Allen this morning, the CEO of Hard Rock, chairman of Seminole Gaming, and asked, got a little more details from him. They're basically going to, they're going to gut the Mirage. They're going to
Really?
Yeah, he said it was built beautifully in 1989, but the rooms, 3,000 rooms, they need to be renovated. They're going to tear out the bathrooms, everything. So they're going to basically build a whole new hotel within that structure. Didn't get an answer on what happens to Siegfried and Roy's Tigers or the Dolphins, but he said the animals will be taken care of. So I'm not sure if they're going to keep it or what. But it's really, he said, it's the site. You're at he called it the 50-yard line of the Las Vegas Strip.
Yep.
And it's the Mirage. You think about it, it's over 30 years old. I covered the opening, so is how old I am. It was it was a beautiful property at the time. It still always was. And now, now you're going to have some new blood coming in and really taking a hard look at it and competing in this market.
You know what was interesting in some of the published reports I read describing it as saying it's going to become an integrated resort. I always thought it was. Is it just that they're talking about more convention business than is currently there?
It sounds like it. Maybe they'll add some convention space into with this with this guitar tower. I'm not sure how they'll connect yet, because you're going to have to do some type of connection with the property. The guitar tower in Florida was actually, that site had been like an beautiful outdoor retail and dining area at Hard Rock in Florida, and they tore that all out, and that's where they built the guitar tower, and it lights up, and the lights shoot up in the sky. It looks like it'll compete with the Luxor light, so they're probably gonna have some more convention space. I don't know what happens with Cirque, with the Beatles show, if that, because Cirque has pretty much all these, Cirque du Soleil has all these contracts with MGM, but it's good to have a good new, and we haven't even talked about it, the fact that this is a tribal enterprise. This is the third tribal enterprise in the last year now coming into Las Vegas. The first that will actually be on the Strip.
So who's next?
Who's next? We have San Manuel here. They're by the time this airs, they'll probably have been licensed for the Palms, and they're going to reopen that in probably by March, I think. You have Connecticut's Mohegan Tribe is at Virgin. I would think maybe Pechanga out of Southern California.
That was the one I would be thinking.
That's one I'm thinking of. Now, I've also heard the Cherokees and the Choctaw tribes in Oklahoma. Choctaw operates the Windstar World Resorts, huge properties, about 50 miles outside of Dallas in Oklahoma. The Cherokees out of the eastern band of Cherokees out of North Carolina. Here's a little bit for you. They have the deal with Harrah's. They own the casinos in the Indian casinos in North Carolina that Harrah's operates, Caesars. They just did a deal, and they have a casino now, one of the old Caesars casinos in Indiana. So just to talk here, maybe the Cherokees. So the path has been paved for the tribal enterprises to come to Las Vegas. They have a lot of customers, they have big customer bases in their market who want to come to Nevada, want to come to Las Vegas. That's why San Manuel is going to do so well, because they're such a huge Southern California base. They only have to fill 700 rooms of the Palms, so that's going to be they'll do very well.
Is Palms Place separate from that deal?
No, they own that. They will own that.
They'll own that as well.
They'll own that, and there's a management company in there that manages the condos, sales and leases them out. Very similar like Signature at MGM. The problem for the Palms Place people is they had access to the Palms. They haven't had access in 21 months now since it's been closed. So there'll be a lot of changes. They were very, at the Gaming Control Board hearing, they were very standoffish. They didn't want to get ahead of themselves. They want to wait till they have the license, they have the keys to the building, and then they're going to talk a lot more about what they're going to do with the Palms.
Okay, so you saw the analyst report from CBRE this morning that talked about the value put onto the Mirage because of what's just been paid, and how that is now ricocheting over to Wynn. Phil Satry said on this program many years ago that Kirk Kerkorian was never in love with his assets, and that's why he kept selling things. And the idea was that potentially Wynn could be on the block. What are you hearing?
The challenge will be convincing Elaine, who is still the largest shareholder. That would be the big challenge. There's a lot of shakeup now. Of course, started a lot of rumors with Matt Maddox leaving as CEO at the end of January and Craig Billings taking over. Phil is still on the board. He's still chairman of the board. As long as Phil's there, there's peace. There's peace in that property. When you have Phil Satry there, that's that gives everybody comfort. I think what John was also talking about, because I read his research note and then his when he first reinstituted, since Union Game became part of CBRE, he thinks because of their assets, the Wynn Las Vegas, the Encore, and in Boston, they're not as in trouble in Macau as other, maybe Sands would be right now because of all the stuff going on in Macau, and their assets are very well thought of. I think when you talk about the value of the Mirage, I think it was like 17 times cash flow is what it equated to, just under 1.1 billion for the operations. Caesars has got to be rubbing their hands because they want to sell one of their properties on the Strip. We don't know which one yet. They haven't really said. Tom Reeg, says we're capitalists. We'll sell anything. So who knows what they may sell? But I think Caesars is all of a sudden seeing, what the potential they could get for one of their properties on the Strip based on this deal. So we'll see where this all goes.
All right, we've got a little thing about this, Super Bowl thing that we need to talk about. Let's take a break and we'll come right back.
I can't do it. Stupid, like my mom.
We can't do anything at Mommy's because you won't pay child support.
Dad said you cheated, and he's not even sure he's my dad.
Mommy said you left both of us, so she isn't gonna let me see you. I look just like my father.
I'm divorce attorney Marilyn York, and I may represent men, but hate has no gender, only casualties. Please, stop sacrificing your children in your war against your ex.
Because of UMC, I'm putting my free time to good use.
Because of UMC, she keeps me on my toes.
Because of UMC and this guy, I'm here.
UMC, the highest level of care in Nevada.
The signs and symptoms of cataracts can start out small with subtle changes in your vision. So don't wait. Be proactive and take your vision into your own hands. If you're experiencing the onset of cataracts or just have questions, contact your eye care professional or call Eye Care Associates of Nevada today. Dr. Hiss has years of experience specializing in the surgical correction of eye disorders and has completed over 84,000 vision correcting procedures. At Eye Care Associates of Nevada, we'll change the way you look at the world.
Hey, Dad? Are you learning? This place is great. Huh? You gotta try this.
Wow, this stuff is great. People are gonna love it.
Yes. Yes, they will.
This is Nevada Newsmakers.
And back on Nevada Newsmakers, we continue our conversation here with Howard Stutz. He's the gaming reporter for the Nevada Independent. Super Bowl 2024. Is this every dream that could possibly come true?
It is, it seems, because remember, I've been around long enough to remember when the NFL wouldn't allow Las Vegas to advertise when the Super Bowl was in Phoenix. And now all of a sudden, not only do we have an NFL team, the Pro Bowl will be in January here in Vegas at Allegiant Stadium, and the Raiders have been selling out. Now again, the Super Bowl, it was destined. The NFL has always put the Super Bowl in a new stadium when it opens. So this year it's going to be, or next year I should say, it's going to be in SoFi Stadium in California, and so it was going to happen. We got the draft here next year too. I think the question is, Vegas is always filled with Super Bowl weekend, because it's a big weekend for people to come in. So many parties, so many events going on, so much surrounding Super Bowl weekend. Now you're adding in the fact that you have all these fans that are going to come in for this, at the stadium for this. So you're going to see. I think it's really going to be it could be a completely crazy week for the industry on how this happens. We've had big events here, so this makes it a perfect place for big events. We're going to have a lot of. I'm sure there'll be a lot of announcements of, we got a few years before it happens on what they can do, what they're going to do around the game and the weeks leading up.
I asked Marilyn Kirkpatrick if this was going to be like a 10-night NFR deal. She said more like 20 nights.
That could be. I mean, look, you've got, the NFL draft will be a very good test because it's a 3-day event. it was all, if you remember, before the pandemic and when they were going to have it here, they were going to have like a parade down the strip. Right. They were doing introducing all the players on a stage set up in the fountains in Bellagio. I mean, it's really going to be a showcase event, and we see the town as a showcase event. Anytime the Raiders games are on either Sunday Night Football or Monday Night Football, or one of the helicopter shots of Vegas. They're going to have the Las Vegas Bowl this year is at Allegiant Stadium. You're going to have Arizona State against Wisconsin. That's going to be a sellout. They had a football game preseason game before in college football with BYU and Arizona. That was like 65,000 fans. 60-70% of them BYU, but it was it's people want to come here. That's why the stadium, as much as I was opposed and disagreed with the public financing, it has been a catalyst to bring folks to Vegas, and that's what it's all about.
And okay, so to back that up, then do you think that we got our money's worth in terms of the money that was invested from that room tax into the stadium?
Certain hotels have. I'm sure MGM is making, the room rates have gone up.
No, but I mean in terms of taxes that are paid that go back into the economy.
We're recovering right now because remember, we didn't have any fans paying tickets there for a year when the Raiders were playing the first season.
But there was a fund that was put in place just for that kind of circumstance.
Right, they had to dip into that. Yeah, they had to dip into that. So maybe they're replenishing that. Is the money coming in for taxes? I haven't seen the latest report, so I would think it has. I know, for room rates are going up around those events. I'll tell you who makes a killing. If you've ever driven by the stadium, I went to the first game this year, the home opener against the Ravens, and we noticed around the stadium there's little motels, La Quinta, all these little motels, packed to the gills with Raiders fans from out of state. So we think those places must have been sold out before all season. When once fans got the schedule and they're staying there because it's cheaper than staying on the strip, and it's turned into a Raider party for three nights. So
I've heard from a very reliable source, clients in fact, that they regularly stay at Mandalay Bay. $200 for these events. It's $1,000.
Wow.
For the same room.
I believe it.
So, I mean, you are seeing a considerable increase there. From an outsider's perspective, it looks to me like it's doing exactly what it should have been doing.
It's bringing people here. The game we went to, we parked at Mandalay Bay and walked over they close off the Hacienda Bridge overpass, and as make it a pedestrian bridge on game day. They do it for UNLV football also. I've been in that stadium for two different events. A Raiders game where it's packed with 65,000, UNLV football where they only use the lower bowl. So it's a much different type of vibe and setting. So that's why UNLV's hopeful that if the team gets better, they'll be able to start filling up a little bit more in there. But it's doing what they said they were going to do between the concerts and special events, football, and so we'll see where it goes.
I mean, I just think it's going to keep going. I mean, I don't see any, because it's such a beautiful facility and it's just amazing. What always blows my mind is how much room there actually still is on the Strip to be able to develop things of this size. I mean, you wouldn't think that you would be able to just plop Allegiant Stadium.
I drove over here where we're sitting right now. Across the street is a big, the big
Life
festival grounds that Phil Ruffin bought from MGM. That was one of the rumored sites for the A's baseball stadium. If this ever happens, which I don't, honestly, I don't think it will, but we'll.
Really? Okay, well, let's move to that.
Okay.
Because, is this all a stalking horse for Oakland? Or, because Tropicana is now the big discussion point?
Okay, let's look at Tropicana. Let's get this out. There was a leak somehow to CNBC, talked about the Tropicana being the site. I asked the governor, he never heard about it. He also pointed out real quickly that he's not doing a special session.
Right.
There's not going to be the room taxes, raising the room taxes to pay for a baseball stadium. That's not on the table right now.
Well, certainly not in an election year.
Well, yeah, definitely not. Yeah, but the thing is the idea that we heard was that they were going to put the baseball stadium in connection with the Tropicana. Now, Bally's Corporation doesn't own the Tropicana. They don't even have a license yet for the Tropicana. They're buying the operations, but they haven't been approved yet. The Tropicana, the site is owned by Gaming and Leisure Properties, GLPI. they hadn't heard anything about it. So you would think there would be, some. Honestly,
because Bally's couldn't do anything without GLPI.
Right, you can't. It changes the lease. The lease they have a lease agreement that they're going to have with GLPI for Bally's will once they're licensed for the Tropicana. Having a baseball stadium on that site along with the Tropicana, that changes the lease, and I think GLPI would want that renegotiated. Right now, I mean, the A's are looking. We've heard Summerlin. Howard Hughes is going to offer him some site. I think I kind of figured out where that site is up in 215 and Far Hills. For those in Las Vegas, way out in the west end of town. Right now, Major League Baseball requires public financing for a stadium. I don't know what that public financing, where it's going to come from here. A lot of the politicians. I asked Marilyn Kirkpatrick this summer, and she said, there's no appetite for public financing for a baseball stadium.
Well, and I don't think it's necessary, because I think that if the business is going to be successful, then it should be funded privately, because you've already done the public funding.
But the A's want public financing.
Oh, yeah, of course they do.
Are we a stalking horse for Oakland? That's a possibility. They really, that the terminal, Howard Terminal and the port, beautiful site. That's what they want. They're trying to push Oakland and Alameda to push forward. I'm not going to be surprised. And right now, Major League Baseball is in a lockout situation. I'm not going to be surprised that after the first year we start hearing, the A's are looking in Nashville, they're looking in Portland or Vancouver, British Columbia. They're starting to look in other locations. That's not going to surprise me if that happens.
All right, let's take another break. We'll be right back with Howard Stutz after this timeout.
Hello, is this D&D Roofing?
Yes, it is. How may I help you?
You did such a great job on my roof. May I speak to the owner?
I am an owner.
Oh, can I speak to your supervisor?
Sure.
How may I help you?
I love your work. May I speak to the owner?
I am an owner. We're all owners. Well, that's why at D&D we work so hard to keep your home safe and sound.
Oh, no wonder.
D&D Roofing and Sheet Metal. Local, employee-owned, here for you.
Like a traditional handmade basket, retail is woven into the fabric of life in Nevada. From big box to mom and pop, retail supports our communities in countless ways. Jobs for the disabled, team uniforms for kids, help for the elderly, and so much more. Retail employs over 1 in 10 workers. Retail supports Nevada, and we support retail.
RANNV.org. Pro Group Management offers workers' comp services to a growing number of industries. As businesses grow and change with the times, the need for a solid workers' comp program must be flexible and up to date. The evolving nature of regulations can make staying ahead of complex tasks challenging. But Pro Group Management simplifies the work so your industry can move forward and succeed. Pro Group Management. Workers' comp that works for you.
Truck drivers are some of the hardest working people you'll meet, delivering over 70% of America's freight and 92% of Nevada's. When there's a natural disaster, they're delivering critical supplies to help those communities recover and rebuild. Every sector of the economy and our nation's military rely on truck drivers. So let's take a moment to say thank you. On the open road or city streets, our truck drivers are rolling to make our economy and our nation stronger. Trucking moves America forward.
This is Nevada Newsmakers.
And back on Nevada Newsmakers, we continue our conversation with Howard Stutz. He's the gaming reporter for the Nevada Independent. So Station Casinos selling their land. They've been trying to for years up in Reno. And now they're looking to develop Durango Station, and now talk of Wildfire near downtown. Fill us in on what the moves are with.
Durango Station, they've been talking about that for years. They were talking about that back in 2014. It actually, in a way, it makes sense because it's a very underserved area. There's not a lot of casinos around it. It's a big site. It's got access right off the 215. That southwestern end of Las Vegas. It's a good location. It's growing, so that makes total sense. Wildfire, I just heard about that, so we'll see. You know, they're little small properties, so that makes sense.
But they've said they want to double the size of their business.
They want to double the size because they have all this land here in Vegas. They have the Viva site, the old Viva property, which is where Wild Wild West. That's like 100 acres. That was that big project they talked about.
That's a huge piece of land on the other side of the 15.
Tropicana in the 15. They talked about that. My question to Station Casinos still is: you have 3 properties that you have not reopened. You have the 2 Fiesta properties in North Las Vegas and Henderson, and the Texas Station in North Las Vegas. They've sold the Palms. We knew they weren't going to ever reopen the Palms, but they have not reopened those properties. They've actually said they've moved the business from those properties to other properties. So what do you do with those properties? What do you do with that land? I mean, they got a big land bank here, and they're not like MGM, who wants to sell all their real estate to a REIT and operate it. Funny thing is, you know, I did a big profile on Vici, VICI, right, in November. I asked them about the regional, the neighborhood casinos in Las Vegas. They said they've looked into that market. They've heard back and forth, but it's like those people, that market's not really, it doesn't translate as well as like the Strip and, you know, this resort corridor. So eventually that might happen down the road.
And that's where we have to leave it. Sadly, we are out of time. It is always fun to have you on. Please come back soon.
Anytime.
And we'll be right back. Brian Culpa Photography was born in the rolling hills of Massachusetts, and now he can help you experience the stunning beauty of Nevada in a whole new way through the power of flight. Flying has always been a passion for Brian, and at Brian Culpa Photography, he can make your imagination soar. Brian has the creative mind and tools to tell your unique story. Experience the bird's eye view at brianculpaphotography.com.
Hi, my name's Marilyn Miner, and I'm sure you'd agree that Nevada's a very special place to live. I was born here, and my husband and I have raised our family here. I feel it's a privilege to live and work in the Truckee Meadows. I especially enjoy helping my clients reach their real estate goals. Sometimes the smallest details provide the greatest satisfaction. I'd be complimented to talk to you about your next move.
Call Marilyn Miner at Dixon Realty, 742-1280, or log on to marilynminer.com.
Safety. We all think about it. You think about it when he buckles in, when you check your mirrors and put away your phone. RTC thinks about safety too. In fact, we create it. Center turn lanes mean fewer blind spots. Bike lanes keep cyclists and you safe. Roundabouts reduce injury collisions, and all these crosswalks are designed to keep families like yours safe. Safety is your priority, and it's ours too. Every day, in everything we do.
Pro Group Management specializes in providing industries with the necessary components to satisfy and exceed workers' comp requirements. Every business has unique needs and specific regulations. Pro Group Management stays ahead of the curve, providing up-to-date services to keep your industry in top form. Discover how we simplify your tasks, improve efficiency, and reduce expense to keep you moving in a positive direction. Pro Group Management. Workers' comp that works for you.
We'll see you on the next broadcast. Thanks for watching Nevada Newsmakers. We'll see you next time.